Welcome to Money Talk, making good investing easy.
Brexit Britain, President Trump's sabre rattling and a fast approaching UK election. There's a lot weighing on investors' minds.
Uncertainty can be unnerving for markets and investors alike. That's why this episode is focused on turning uncertainty into opportunity, including how you can buy time by parking your ISA in cash,
Why mixing different investments offers a buffer in uncertain times, and how Britain's growing army of self-employed workers are trading the certainty of a monthly wage for more freedom. Now, if you're wondering where Mike has gone, she's out on a drive to explain how our Fidelity ISA Cash Park works and why it can be such a useful tool in uncertain times.
Investing in a stocks and shares ISA is a bit like going on a journey. You might know your destination. The hard part is figuring out how to get there. You may find yourself overwhelmed by choice or confused by the different options. Navigating the best route in uncertain times isn't always easy. Not to mention finding the time in the rush of modern day life. Fidelity's ISA Cash Park allows you to park your ISA investments in cash. Once you've moved your money into the cash park, you can decide where to invest later on. The advantage of doing this is that you secure your ISA allowance. This is important because the ISA is a use it or lose it benefit. Once the clock strikes midnight on the final day of the tax year, you would have lost that year's ISA allowance forever. It's quick and easy and buys you time. Because sometimes you just need time to think.
Nice driving.
Thank you.
So, the ISA Cash Park, really useful tool if you're not sure about where to invest, but parking your money in cash at the moment is not a good idea, is it?
It's definitely not a good idea. We know interest rates are at record lows and inflation is creeping up, so cash is not king. In the next segment, Tom looks at another option for the uncertain investor, multi-asset funds.
If you've ever decorated your home, you'll know how important picking the right combination of colours can be. Each colour has its own characteristics. They work differently in different conditions. Some colours work well with others, some clash. It might mean blending a few different shades until you get what you want. The same challenges arise when investing. Which combination of investments will meet my goals and how will they work together? Bill McQuaker is a specialist in multi-asset funds.
Multi-asset investing is about blending together different assets, different types of investments to produce portfolios that map onto the risk and return requirements that our clients have. There are some clients who don't like volatility, who don't like surprises, and their needs in terms of portfolio outcomes are quite different from other individuals who may have different circumstances, a much longer investment horizon. The first investor is likely to be exposed to assets that have lower levels of what we call volatility, just movement up and down. The likelihood is that those less volatile assets will deliver lower rates of return. But the investor who dislikes volatility typically is willing to live with a lower rate of return. That trade-off is acceptable to them. At the other end of the spectrum, you might find an investor who doesn't need to see their money back for a considerable period of time, and that allows them to tolerate more short-term volatility. But the quid pro quo for that investor is that they will likely want a higher rate of return. The critical thing is that both end investors are happy with the trade-off that they received between risk taken on and return received.
So what are the ingredients that Bill puts in his portfolios? Equities are company shares. They're the most risky, but they offer the highest returns. Bonds are investments in the debts issued by a company or a government. They're less risky than equities, and they offer a fixed return. And then there's property. Property is a kind of halfway house between equities and bonds. The last part of the mix is alternatives, such as infrastructure, wind farms and aircraft leasing. What's the benefit of putting those assets together in one portfolio?
Well, that takes us to the notion of diversification. And diversification is sometimes described as the only free lunch in financial markets. The essence of diversification is that different asset classes perform in different ways, critically, at different times. And so by blending together these different asset classes, we smooth out some of the lumps and bumps that go with investing in just one or t'other. And frankly, that's a thing of beauty.
And that's what it's all about. Meeting your goals at a level of risk you're comfortable with, you need the right blend. And that's what a multi-asset fund offers. So Micah, this growing army of the self-employed, what's all that about?
Well, a number of factors really, Tom. The financial crisis left a lot of people redundant and setting up shop by themselves, and also a changing jobs market, technology, and of course it's an aspiration of a lot of young people who see the internet and even social media as their preferred workplace and don't want to be confined to the normal 9 to 5.
I can see the advantages of working like that, but there's a cost involved, isn't there? And it's a loss of financial security. It's not just about coming off the payroll. I think it's easy to forget the benefits of a company pension, of an employer's contributions.
Yes, a pension really is key. In the next clip, Ed Monk looks at this growing trend of self-employment and explains why this group of people can't afford to ignore a self-invested personal pension.
The way we work is changing. More of us want to forget the 9 to 5, the daily commute and office politics. In the UK now, 1 in 7 of us have decided to become our own boss, whether that's self-employed, freelancer, consultant or contractor. More and more of us are working for ourselves. Work-Life is one of many new pop-up workspaces for the self-employed.
We opened our first space in Camden in August of 2015, and really the big driver behind it was we saw the world of work was changing. So what we had was record numbers of small businesses growing, growing numbers year on year of freelancers, and what we saw was an attitudinal change in the world of work, so more and more freelancers entering the market, as well as bigger businesses now engaging more with project teams and looking for flexible solutions for their staff or remote workers. So I think this change to work is not just for the young generation. I think across the board, people with a skill set are realising I can leave work, become self-employed and have a real flexible working life.
This shift in working trends gives people like Claudia more flexibility.
I get to really decide on my own schedule, on my own tasks. I get to focus on the things that I love. I don't need to be micromanaged. I get to be a master of my own time. And those who are closer to me, they maybe see more of the flip side. There's so much administration, accounting, marketing, business development.
Services like Work-Life can help the self-employed with many of the new challenges they face, but they can't do everything. A place like this can give you networking opportunities with like-minded people, super fast broadband and good coffee. What it can't give you is a ready-made way to save for your retirement. You'll need to take care of that yourself, and a self-invested personal pension, also known as a SIP, is one way of doing it. You won't have an employer paying in for you, but you can still boost what you pay in through tax relief offered by the government. And that extra help can be vital in the task of saving enough during your career to give yourself a financially secure retirement.
I think about it a lot now, and I already take steps, baby steps perhaps, to do something about it, but I suppose I would worry that, is it going to be enough? Am I suddenly going to find myself at 60, 65, 70 and think it's not enough, what am I going to do now?
Self-employment means being your own boss, but it also means being your own marketeer, your own business development manager, even your own social media guru. And with all those short-term concerns, it can be easy to take your eye off the long-term and what happens when one day you stop working. If you want to enjoy the same freedom in retirement as you've enjoyed in your working life, you're going to need a pension.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Money Talk. But before we go, a sneak peek of what we'll be covering in our next episode. As women, we're often told a lot of things. Sit up straight. Wear your hair long. If you only smiled more, wear more makeup. Wear less makeup. Don't be so emotional. That's not very ladylike. Don't be so bossy. But how about being told something useful? Well, here's something. Mind the gap. Not that gap. I'm talking about the gaps that really matter. You take a break to look after the children. You care for an elderly relative. Life, it happens. But often it's women who carry the cost. You might leave a job or miss out on the chance of a promotion. You earn less, you save less. You end up with a smaller pension pot. But you are going to live longer. Notice that gap now? In our Women and Money series, we'll be telling you something useful, the gaps you need to mind, and ultimately, how to make good investing easy for you. You can't change biology, but you can change your destiny. That's why you need to invest. As always, Tom, a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. And you can find more guidance on your savings and investments from me and my team on all of Fidelity's digital channels. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.